Hello, viewers. Welcome back to a new episode of the Free Marketers podcast. I'm joined by Martin van Staden and Mpiaki Dlamini. I'm Chris Hutton, project manager here at the FMF. Thank you very much for joining us once again. Quite a few things to cover this week. Some sad news going on in South Africa. Good news today, though. The timely, although it should have happened long ago, but the timely passing of Robert Mugabe, the former brutal dictator of Zimbabwe. Guys, your thoughts? I've written a piece for the Rational Standard on it, expressing how I feel. I think this is way past due. I hope he suffered before he passed away.
Yeah.
But at least he's now left. Unfortunately, the people of Zimbabwe have to sit with his policies, this socialist utopia that he wanted to bring about, which always requires blood and bones of people. But now he is left.
Yeah,
Martin?
no, I think it's excellent. Of course, we have a somewhat a strict policy at the FMF not to attack personalities, but I think that he became an institution unto himself. Tyranny in Zimbabwe became so synonymous with Robert Mugabe that it's really worth celebrating the death of this tyrant. And I mean, now I may be wrong. I read somewhere that today is also the day, the 6th of September, right? When Hendrik Verwoerd died. I'm not sure if that's true, and also the day that South Africa entered into the Second World War.
Jeez.
So it's an interesting day. I think it's a good day, a day of the death of tyrants and the day of standing up for liberty. So the 6th of September, I guess, can be made a national holiday in countries that support individual freedom. But yeah, it's also quite ironic. I mean, as you pointed out in your article, of course, Mugabe died in a Singaporean hospital, receiving world-class capitalist healthcare. And he spent his whole life rallying against that, of course reserving it to himself and his cronies. So, yeah, I think it's ironic justice.
Yeah.
It's great. I guess I just hope that people don't now just think, okay, another tyrant is dead. I hope they learn something out of this. And then I hope Zimbabwe can use this as another opportunity to get itself right, because the new regime hasn't exactly been a paragon of freedom and justice.
Mpiaki, your thoughts?
Well, I think it's just one of those things that happen every day. People die, and if he had died while he was in power, maybe it would have meant something. But I don't say it won't make anyone's life in Zimbabwe any better. He probably died the way he would have died anyway. There was probably no extra or less suffering than there would have been in the first place. So unless there's some feeling of revenge, but how can there be a feeling of revenge with this? It's just natural causes. We are all going to die this way. Like if we are lucky. So if we all die like that, and if we are all mortal, then I don't see the good or the bad in this. It's just a thing that happens to human beings. But it's I guess maybe it might spark some thinking in some people's minds, and reflecting in depth on the man's legacy and what he did and what he achieved or didn't achieve in Zimbabwe. Maybe it might spark those things. But if everyone was perfectly rational as I conceive it, then I don't think it would even do that, because people would have been thinking about it before he died.
Sure.
So I think just that is significant, because we're all humans and we're all scared of it. That's why we talk about it. But otherwise, I don't see anything having changed, unless someone was in a position to influence things when he died, or he was about to get into that position and then he died. So that's my practical, very boring view of it.
Very stoic view.
Oh, geez.
I thought I was the philosopher. He's the one here with the
Let
logic
us be human, Mpiaki. Let us be human. Let us enjoy the death of a madman.
Yeah, but it's like one of those. It just doesn't feel like. If I would understand if if we didn't all die, for example, and Mugabe was singled out for death, I would be like, oh yes, let's enjoy this. But,
Fair enough.
Well, yeah, at least he's going to hell, so there's that.
I'm quite happy. So.
It's great.
It's
It's
a
great.
different discussion.
Oh, wow.
Going to hell.
Here we go.
Okay,
Stay tuned
let's-
for part 2, which is going to be 4 hours long about religion.
But yeah, no, it's just in terms of political philosophy and all of that. The victory, if we start talking about it and then people start realizing some of the bad things he did, he still has a lot of support in Zimbabwe, has a lot of support within South Africa. the two countries we should probably support Mugabe the least, South Africa and Zimbabwe, is where he has most of his support. So that's still strange for me to see. But anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We could just hope that some people learn from what he caused in Zimbabwe. So, if one or two people can learn from the policies that he imposed and what they're trying to impose here, at least there'll be some good that comes from his legacy.
I'm reminded of what Dave Chappelle said in his latest Netflix special when he said that karma, what goes around doesn't always come around.
No.
I mean, things could go around and never ever. It doesn't mean that bad people get punished necessarily. Just sometimes, bad people can actually be rewarded for what they do.
Well, he was deposed in a coup, so there's that. So that's good enough, I guess.
Where he got to keep all his mind that he stole.
Probably got a bonus.
Well, he didn't live for long after that. So
still afford to go to Singapore after the coup. So.
Oh well, the state.
Yeah, but I thought healthcare and the capitalist systems was way too expensive. So at least he could go with his worthless Zimbabwean dollars.
Oh yes. Yeah.
All right, moving on to our second topic. This week has been an unfortunate spate of xenophobic attacks in South Africa against foreign nationals, people in South Africa trading, selling, that sort of thing with South Africans. There have been various reasons given for these attacks. Some people have also said that it's not xenophobia, that it's just thuggish behavior, I think was one political...
Just criminality.
One political figure said that I guess that justifies it. If it's just thuggish behavior or criminality, then it's not that bad. If it's xenophobia, then okay, we can really talk now. Yeah. And then once people get killed, then we cross the line. But if shops are looted and that sort of thing, it's still okay. That's sort of fine. But once people get killed, again, we're crossing a line. A very unfortunate state of events. I think it's reflective of the sort of economic situation in the country. People feel frustrated. This isn't to justify any sort of attacks on other people regardless of where they're from, but I think people feel angry and like they can't improve their lives, and that's a result of the stifling economic conditions that the government has imposed on them, including the national minimum wage, where they can't get jobs. They see someone from another country owning a shop, selling things, maybe doing well for themselves and their family. And then they think, well, the government said they were going to give me X, Y, Z. Why don't I have all that stuff? Why is that person getting that? It's that sort of lose-lose view of trade and economic growth, whereas it should be a win-win. Trade should be beneficial for both people involved. And Piaki, just your take on these attacks. Do you think anything can help resolve it? Do you think we need more law and order, that kind of thing? Maybe bring in the army?
No, definitely not bring the army. But I would say government should just be focusing on arresting the looters, the people who are beating up innocent people. You should even go further and make steps to sort of show our remorse as South Africa, as the South African government, as a nation, I suppose. Show our remorse by, for example, granting automatic citizenship to anyone who's been beaten up, or who has had their shop looted or something like that. I think this would I see this as in two ways. I see the practicalities of it, which is what I'm talking about now, like maintaining our relationships with African states, a lot of which are looking at us rather badly now, like in the way that they last looked at us during apartheid.
They didn't even want to play soccer with us. That's when it gets real.
Those are the kinds of things we last saw before 1994.
No.
But anyway, it's happening now. So in the practical aspects of the need to maintain our relationship with foreign countries, trade with them in future, and all of this, I would say we just do everything that is possible, including apologizing, giving citizenship to some of these people, and and maybe commissioning a review of our immigration laws. Are they appropriate? What are we really trying to achieve with the immigration laws we have now? I mean, do they comport with the rest of the constitution in this focus on individual rights and things like that? So that's the practical aspects of it.
Yeah.
In terms of the morality of it, it's a bit sad that in South Africa, when South Africans were when black South Africans mostly were faced with this racist regime that they had to deal with, that's a lot of these countries gave the people who were in exile, they gave them shelter, they harbored them, they gave them resources, and now like it would be, and then most of these liberation movements in Africa as well, they have a pan-Africanist ideology. So given all of these things, you would expect that a sense of brotherhood would exist.
Yeah, some sort of camaraderie.
Exactly, camaraderie. And then also just the fact that you are attacking innocent people who have done absolutely nothing to you. So that's the moral aspect of it. That this all started because someone was involved in a voluntary drug deal, and then someone else decided to interfere.
Yo, now you've triggered people.
So it's just something to think about. I'm not saying that I'm going either one way or the other. I'm just saying it's something to think about. Obviously, I know what I believe in. I believe that if individual is acting peacefully, that there should be enough. I mean, they should be. I'm not saying that we shouldn't judge what they do as being wrong or immoral or whatever it is, but we can't interfere in what they do. That's the difference. You can judge it, but you can't interfere in what they do, which is so. That's what I would hope. We get to the stage like to get that to recognize that basic moral framework which just says maintain live peacefully with each other, which is its main goal. If we could get to that point, then that would be good. But right now seems South Africans are too content in telling others how they should live their lives and how they should behave. So,
Martin, anything you want to highlight?
Yeah, look, I think that you're broadly right that there is an economic aspect to this, but as I think with crime, I think that crime in general, I think that there is probably something again wrong specifically of South Africans. So I hate being an exceptionalist for South Africa.
Oh, I thought you just enjoyed it.
No, but like I hate it when people are like, oh, we're this miracle country, all different principles apply to us. I dislike that. But when it comes to like crime and now xenophobia, it seems like, again, we have a type of bloodlust in South Africa. Now, from the little that I know, is that other parts of Africa are quite cosmopolitan. I understand that Nairobi, where you and I were earlier last month, is a very cosmopolitan place. People from countries all around live in Nairobi, live in Kenya, Ethiopians, Eritreans, Tanzanians, all live side by side there. And I believe Kenya's GDP per capita is lower than South Africa's, which means that ordinary Kenyans are poorer than ordinary South Africans. Yet they don't see each other and think, hey, my goodness, let me hack that guy to death and loot his shop. And I've spoken to some of our African colleagues, and I mean, all of them are shocked, and I mean, like, seriously shocked by what is happening in South Africa. They have not experienced this in their own countries, not in West Africa, not in East Africa, not in Central Africa. To them, it is something very peculiar that is happening in South Africa, that we're just randomly killing other people for so-called economic reasons, and because some Nigerians are selling drugs, now we're killing all Nigerians, looting Pakistani shops. I mean, it seems like there's something in the South African mentality, and I'm assuming this transcends all racial groups, because all of us have had our turn at being totally ridiculously oppressive. But there's something wrong here. We think that we're this exception. We can we're like, this is South Africa, you other Africans. This is our territory. We owe you nothing. And I mean, Piaki, you're right to say that government at least owes some kind of apology, but they are subtly at least encouraging it. It says this is not xenophobia. This is just thuggish criminality. And I mean, this brings up images of Rwanda, where the international community said, no, it's not genocide. Let's investigate it. Let's see what's happening. And then a month later, 100,000 people were dead. So it's this delay tactic. Political groups and politicians are saying similar things. There are, of course, these people saying, oh, they are xenophobic attacks, they're bad, but our borders are so porous. and it's like a type of meta victim blaming. It's like,
and a justification.
It's like you're telling the foreigners, what's happening to you is terrible, but at the end of the day, it really is your fault, because you came into South Africa. When a woman gets raped,
you tell her, why did you go into the CBD? Why were you wearing that?
What were you thinking? It's totally absurd, and it all comes back.
I think we can agree that to
the philosophy.
I mean, okay, you can, let's say, dislike or hate immigrants, but I think for most of us, the idea would be, if you don't go to the point where you use force to impose that preference that you have, maybe you just don't like immigrants for some reason, maybe you have a good reason, we don't know. But if you don't go to the extent of using force to impose that preference, I think that's where we still.
But we do go to that extent.
So we do. That's what we need to ask, because for example, in Kenya, as much as they're generally a peaceful society, but they did also have these tribalist violence after their elections.
Yes, political violence. Yes, that's something that's common in Africa.
But this is also part of sort of political violence. It's not as clear. It's not as clear because if you look at it, the instances of xenophobic attacks we've had before, sometimes they would be like the Zulu King saying something. Sometimes it would be Herman Mashaba. I mean, it's there's a lot going on, and I feel like in South Africa it's particularly complex because certain parts of the country are more peaceful than others.
Yeah.
I mean, you get some tribes or some of the tribes in Limpopo which are just completely peaceful as anything in the rest of Africa, and you get like more aggressive areas where it tends to be like people like the Zulu and so on. So it's a very complex.
Oh look, I'm not sure that I agree that I mean politics is definitely part of it, but I don't think it's political violence because I think for it to qualify as political violence there should be an actual political call to action, and that was the case, yes, with Mashaba and the Zulu King. But I think the vast majority of our xenophobic violence is about some level of common prejudice by ordinary South Africans against foreigners. We have the idea that they're all a bunch of criminals. When we talk about criminality in the CBD, it's always like, the Nigerians have taken over the...
Isn't it interesting to have something like a shared... what I'm saying, I'm not saying that it's completely political, or I'm not saying that it's completely one thing. I'm saying there's probably a lot of things going on within the same thing. Like
yes.
So when someone says it's criminality, in one aspect of it is just criminality. It's just people who want to loot, who want to steal stuff.
I think there is a mentality. I think there is a violent, problematic South African mentality at play here. Because you don't see it elsewhere where people are even poorer. We think that foreigners in South Africa are here violating our rights. We think that they're stealing our jobs.
Yeah.
We think that they're a bunch of criminals, even though the crimes that they are accused of are in fact, and let me say this very clearly, listeners, they are not crimes. They are victimless crimes, and a victimless crime is not a crime. They are illegal, but selling drugs to someone should not be, and as far as jurisprudence is concerned, is not a crime. So
there might be a concern, like for example, with but it's the same concern people will have with alcohol, like selling to
yes,
children.
No, of course.
Right.
Yeah. There are social consequences. Of course, there are social consequences to many things, but that does not make it a crime.
Oh.
And I think this constant the thing that the new thing is that the Nigerians are selling drugs to our children, and it's like, wow. So these children have no family, no parents, no guardians. The same community, the very same community that says they are selling drugs to our children is failing to inculcate in those children values of restraint.
No.
Don't go to the bad man to buy drugs, but then they would kill those people because they themselves failed to protect those children.
And what this also means is like South Africans are also selling drugs to South African children.
Yes.
So it's not like it's a
yes.
foreigner thing.
Yeah.
So then the foreigners are encroaching on their profit. That's the only problem. It's not that they're selling drugs to children.
It's a competition law, man.
There we go.
Yes.
We need the competition commission.
There's the criminality aspect of it because there is elements of that where people just want to get people out of their turf to take over their tax.
Yes.
Sure. Some people are just genuinely like hate foreigners for whatever reason. And so I think because they have so much going on, I mean, for example, one question that you can ask is why were the Nazis, why did they hate the Jews instead of some other group?
Mm-hmm.
Why do South Africans hate immigrants instead of some other group?
Well, there was a European mentality at the time. I think it's well documented that there was a general anti-Semitism amongst Europeans.
Psychologically, isn't there some aspect, I mean, this goes with what you're saying with the complexity of all this, a few reasons. Isn't there something about how little you think of yourself and your own abilities, and you feel low self-confidence in that you can raise yourself up, so you're looking for targets like with the Nazi thing, for example, where they profess the superiority of the Aryan race, and then clearly there were a few people who are better at doing business than they were. So how do you get rid of them? You use force. You use the government. Same thing here.
I think that's a big part of it.
If you can't stand on your own 2 feet, you're gonna use your panga or your gun and drive the people away.
Yeah, it's a psychological thing. I think you're right.
Scapegoating has always been part of politics for as long as there's been a politics. So it's less surprising to me that a group is being scapegoated as opposed to just like how do they choose the group to scapegoat?
Right.
I mean, it seems so arbitrary. Yeah. How do like thousands of or potentially millions of people just settle on this one group to scapegoat? Okay, African African immigrants, that's the group that's responsible for all our problems. It seems so arbitrary, and I would like to understand how do people come to these determinations.
No. Well, I'm just hoping we can see lowering of tensions. I'm not sure what it's going to take. Hopefully not.
Oh no, I know exactly what it's going to take.
More violence,
guns.
Especially from the police. But yeah, okay. On your point of guns, arming individual citizens.
Not citizens. At this stage,
everyone.
I would love citizens to have guns, but like for the current context, I think we should be dishing out guns to anyone who does not have South African citizenship.
No. That seems rather short-sighted.
No.
Because the criminals who are not South Africans will have an advantage over the peaceful people.
Are you talking about the drug dealers now? I'm sure.
No, not the drug dealers. The violent criminals, which is in the same way that we can't demonize foreign immigrants, and we can't what's the word, angelicize or make them seem like some sense.
Sure.
There is people like everyone.
If you are, I have a lot of African colleagues who live in South Africa. They are terrified shitless.
So
they are ordinary people who work in universities, who work in ordinary professions. They do not trust anyone who is a South African right now. That is a deep indictment against our society right now. I mean, it's totally ridiculous that we have come to this point that foreign Africans in this country now have to fear for their lives around just the ordinary people around them. I mean, they are totally helpless. This government demonizes them. They have very little. Ordinary South Africans basically don't have the right to defend themselves anymore.
No.
So what about them? It's to me very simple. The foreigners will be left alone if South Africans know that they will get killed if they try something against them.
What about the foreigners who want to violate the property rights of South Africans? So that's why I'm saying, like, just arming the foreigners would be a short-sighted policy in that sense, because it would give an edge to the people who want to violate the...
Look, yeah, so I accept the point.
That's why I'm saying, like, any collectivist...
I accept the point, but I would want to see a type of research on how many foreigners in South Africa commit random violence. So there is a big... South Africans commit random violence. We rape and kill each other as a sport every single day. I'm not convinced, because I haven't seen any indications of this, that foreigners in South Africa do the same. What I have seen indications of is that foreigners engage in gangs and drug gangs specifically, and crimes of that nature, which are not... Those are enterprises in the black market.
Studies that have been done, they've shown that foreigners tend to do less crime than South Africans.
But violent... I'm talking about murder and rape, assault, those types of crimes. That's what I mean.
Even if you just look at those, even if you just look at violent crime, that they still do less on both scales in terms of drugs and in terms of the non-violent crimes and the violent crimes. My issue is that even if that was for 99% of foreigners, they will still be that one. So, like, this is what I'm saying. It's important to see people as individuals in whatever craziness is going on. That is what distinguishes libertarians and liberals.
Yeah, and an armed society is a polite society.
Exactly.
Because the criminals will get guns anyway.
Yeah, just...
Okay, on that, I'm going to move on to our next topic. So we saw the very tragic murder of a UCT student this past week, and marches this week by women, especially against violence against women and children. And while I feel that anger is very much justified, and we know all the statistics, and every time this sort of thing happens, we have marches, we post on social media, we talk about what a tragic thing this sort of thing is, and it is. And if you get meaning from posting stuff like this, then that's obviously you're fully entitled to do that. But practically, and this isn't to say that women now, it's on them to like defend themselves and stuff. They shouldn't live in this sort of society anyway. This shouldn't be like
this shouldn't be normal.
This shouldn't be normalized as it is, this violence. But if individual citizens, and not especially women or men, but if people were easier able to arm themselves, a woman walking down the street, if a criminal or a gang, I mean, if it's 5 or 6 guys, it's obviously going to be much more difficult for her to defend herself. But if they knew there's a chance that she has a gun, surely there's less chance that she's going to get attacked. And we know the police, SAPS, their response rate is very poor. The chance of conviction is very poor. Women are scared of speaking out, of naming their attackers, that sort of thing. But surely there's a case to be made for arming individual citizens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's the exact same as the previous topic. Armed society equals polite society.
Yeah.
We should be selling firearms in convenience stores. and there should be a presumption of license. So I'm not an anarchist. I think that there may come a time when government can bar you from having a firearm, but the point is that there should be a presumption that you are entitled to have a firearm, and if you do something like commit a violent crime with that firearm, then, only then, or if something like that, only then can government come and say, hey, no, we cannot trust you with a weapon anymore. Your presumption of license is now over. So if you ever want a firearm again, you have to go through some process. That makes sense to me. But for all of us ordinary people, law-abiding citizens, law-abiding foreigners, except immigration law, you should be able to walk into a convenience store and buy a firearm. And this is not to say you should get a firearm.
No.
The fact that firearms would be so available and so easily attainable. I do not own a firearm. I'm quite scared of firearms.
Thanks for
yes,
for the
yes. So if you know where I live, you know. But I do not own a firearm. I'm not too interested in that. It's a lot of effort to get the training. But if a criminal thinks that there is even a chance that I have a firearm, the point is that it's a safer society. And we see this in the United States. Everyone talks about how violent it is, mass shootings. But on the whole, this is a country of 300 million plus citizens. Virtually everyone, I think, is armed in some way, shape or form.
Yeah.
And taking that fact into account, it's actually an incredibly low rate of crime in the United States. There are different areas, but on the whole, it's quite a safe place to be. So that is something I think South Africa needs to embrace. We have 3 million private gun owners in this country. Most of them are perfectly peaceful. And we really need to give everyone the opportunity to be able to defend themselves, and we need to send a clear message to criminals and say, the moment you go to attack someone, you are gambling with your own life.
Yeah.
Currently, that's not the case.
Yeah. There's no skin in the game.
Yeah.
Criminals know that they'll probably get away with it.
Yeah.
Mbiaki, for you, anything you'd like to add?
Just people shouldn't be barred from taking any reasonable measure to defend themselves. That's it. If that's a gun, if that's a knife, that's a bomb. Or
Here we go.
The anarchist has arrived.
Well, to defend property, and you should be able to defend it against anyone. It's not just like other people, like, other individuals.
Yeah.
I shouldn't worry about only Chris and Martin. What about those people with all the guns, the government? What if they decide to come after me? And so that's why I'm saying, like, it's
No.
For me, the right to self-defense is someone would say it's absolute. Of course, there are limits, like there are practical limits, like how much, like you shouldn't defend yourself in a way that threatens the defense of others. So, like, you should always keep that in mind. But I would say overall, like, you just have whatever can come after, you should be able to respond to it if you choose to.
Yeah, to those of you who might be sitting on the fence with this sort of thing, just imagine that your worst political enemy, if you're on the left, for example, imagine that Donald Trump, I mean, he has been president, but imagine that the person that you think is going to be this fascist dictator, or for women out there who feel vulnerable and victimized by men, imagine that you're going to be in that situation where you're at your weakest. That is your best argument in favor of arming yourself. Just imagine that your worst enemy is going to have this sort of power over you, and that's why you should have that power to defend yourself.
Just to another point is I have 5 guns, and the yard in my house it has landmines. So
well, look, I think a point that we always make I think it's the third time we've made this point, and I'm going to keep making it, is that every period of oppression throughout human history since the invention of firearms has involved the government almost as its very first step, enacting legislation to disarm either everyone or the people that it's targeting.
Yeah.
That has been the case in South Africa, and it was explicitly aimed at black South Africans. There were black South Africans who were particularly prohibited from having beer and having firearms.
Wow.
So it's not a surprise that apartheid happened if you think about it. I mean, if most black South Africans were armed, it never would have happened. The same happened in Nazi Germany. I'm not sure if Jews were disarmed or if civilians were disarmed. I'm not sure, but the practical effect was that Jewish Germans could not defend themselves. In America, I believe Indians were disarmed. Native Americans, I apologize, were disarmed, and I'm not sure about this, but I think that there were probably laws against blacks in the South having open and free access to firearms. I'm speaking under correction there. So if you look at history and the relationship between the individual and the state, when the state has developed an idea about infringing on individual rights, it has always sought to disarm any type of opposition to it. And I think we cannot stress this point enough. You do not have to like firearms. You do not have to like the idea of shooting people, even in self-defense. A lot of people are pacifists in that way. The point is that you need to be concerned when government wants to reduce the amount of firearms that the people have. And this government is certainly doing that, and it should be totally resisted.
Yeah.
And then just finally, to wrap up this week's episode, next week on the 12th of September, we've got the launch of the 2019 edition of the Economic Freedom of the World Index in partnership with the Fraser Institute. So for those of you who might be interested in this report, we publish it every year with the South African edition, how the 5 areas of the EFW reflect the South African economy and South African society. If you're interested in hard numbers, please look at some of Mpiaki's work. We'll have articles coming out. If you'd like to attend, you're more than welcome to do so. Please just register on our website. Just click on the events tab there. You're also welcome to watch on our Facebook page. It'll be live streamed there. Please share it. And just spend some time working through some of the areas, see if there's a particular area of interest to you, how the South African government and the economy can improve in that regard. We all know about Tito Mbowene's new economic strategy plan. So maybe link that with some of the areas and see how South Africa can improve. All of the stuff we've talked about is intricately linked with economic freedom.
Yeah.
When you have more economic freedom, social strife and these sorts of problems are always less. They never disappear. We're human beings living in a society together, but the chance for this sort of thing is much less when people can prosper and that they feel that they have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap up there. Martin, will you just tell all the viewers where they can find our work?
Absolutely, yeah. So as always, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's the big red button right under this video. We are going to start looking into getting these vlogs on other platforms in podcast format. So that will come soon. Please like us on Facebook, that is Free Market Foundation South Africa, or in the URL facebook.com/FMFSA. And of course follow us on Twitter at FMF South Africa, one word. And yeah, so please also remember to follow our website, which is www.freemarketfoundation.com. Have a good one and see you next week.